Hello everybody. Now, I've already done this video once, and when I finished, I checked, and I guess I didn't video anything, and it was really good too. So let's just hope I can do this one a little bit better, and maybe even cut it back a little bit as far as time goes, since I've already went through it once. Okay, I've already done a video called making soap labels on Cricut makes time, on Cricut Maker saves time. Making soap labels on Cricut Maker saves time. I believe it's what it says. Anyways, all I showed on that was me applying these labels to the mat and putting through the Cricut Maker. I didn't show you how to actually set them up before sending it to Cricut Maker as an SVG file. So I wanted to show you how to do that. Now this program I'm using here is called Affinity Designer, and it's very similar to Adobe Illustrator. As you can see, you know, even the menus are similar. It's set up in layers, the same as Adobe Illustrator is. And I love it. I love the way it works. It's very, very user friendly. It's easy to get used to. The biggest difference, of course, is the price. Now, Adobe Illustrator, I'm from Canada, so I was paying $50 a month for that. And for this specific program here, Affinity Designer, I paid $69 one-time fee. Now, I'm in no way affiliated at all. I don't make any money by telling you guys about this program. I just love it that much. And I know I'll never, ever change to another program now. Now, along with Affinity Designer, you can also purchase this one here I'm pointing to below in Affinity Photo, as well as there's Affinity Publisher. And you can go into one program and use them all at the same time, basically, as well. So if you need to switch back and forth between programs, it works really, really good. So I just wanted to show you how I set up my soap labels in this particular program. So I know a lot tend to use like just a flap that goes all the way around the soap. This one here has a bottom to it and has the two flaps on the side. This is where it folds across the bottom of the soap here, and then the soap peeks out the top of it. So you just need to get the size of your soap and kind of lay it out with how you want it set up. Now, these guidelines here are very important, especially when you go to set up my SVG file, and I'm going to do that right on top of this. So we'll get right at it here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I don't have anything touched or you know, chosen. Oh, first of all, actually, I want to group this here top one. Control G. Okay, we'll group that top layer. Now, we just need to show Cricut Maker where the outline's going to be, where to cut. So you can see one line's green, one line's red, so I know I'm right lined up with my guidelines. That's why those are important. Oh, I don't want to go down too far because that's my second label. So this here is the outline without the flaps in the bottom. So now I need to tell Cricut Maker where to cut along the bottom, or where to put the flaps in for the fold. So first of all, I want to take this rectangular and I want to move it above. I want it above everything else. I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit just so I can see below it, and I know where to set up my lines. Now let's bring this in a little bit closer here so I can see it. So here's one flap here. Now, what I do, I mean, I could just put a line here and a line here, and that tells Cricut Maker to cut it. But I like to put a little bit of a little V in it. That way, when it folds, there's no overlapping or getting it bunched up or whatever. So here's how you would put the cut line in. You're going right on top of the rectangle, and you're going to take the pen tool here in this program, and the line's red, so I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to go up to the corner, click there, and I'm going to double click on this one. So then I'm going to choose my move tool, they call it, and I'm also going to choose my rectangle. Now I can hold my shift key down and grab the rectangle at the same time. So now those are both chosen, as you can see. And I'm going to hit minus. So do you see how that took that out? So now Cricut Maker knows to come along with the cut line, go up here, come down here, and go across. Now we need to do that on each one of those. So there, there, there. Choose the move tool. Now I can also choose it by just clicking on that and hit minus instead of clicking on the rectangle itself. Go back to this one. Now we're only going to do this once on the top one, and then we're going to double click, and then we're going to just copy it to the label below. Pen tool. Okay, it's working out really good. Now, another thing I like to do is also on each end. Each end, I want a little bit of a V there. Now, and that's why this guideline is here. I took my rectangle tool and I just use it as a measurement, basically. I just put it on like that and then grabbed it and took it over, and then I knew where to move this here guideline to. So I know that these are all going to be basically the same size. Now I don't need that. I'm going to delete that out. So we'll add another V to the end here. Shift key and grab that and minus. So see how that took that out kind of at an angle in the end. Now we're just going to do the same thing on the other end as well. Minus. There. Okay, so basically that part's done. Now if I turn the opacity up on that, that's the outline for the whole label. So that's the cut line. So now I'm going to tell it where to put the score lines. And yes, I'm going to tell it that in this program. So we're going to use the same tool. We're going to use the pen tool to do that. And I just want to move in a little bit closer. So there's the pen tool there. So there, this is where I want it to fold right along that line. I just want that, I want it to be green. So I'm going to, and that should be yellow. So if I double click that, so now I need to go up here and I need to make it a dash line as well. So we're going to change that to dashes. And actually, I'm going to make these dashes a little bit bigger. I'm going to make them 12. Now, I could copy and paste them right across, but I'm not. I'm just going to continue to do it with this. I find this is, you know, it's a lot easier for me to do it this way than it is to copy it and then try to line it right up on those. So I don't have to change it. Now that it's set up as a dash line, it's going to remain as a dash line. So the same thing here. Whoops. Now, what happened there is I didn't double click that to tell it I stopped at the end. So I'm just going to hit Control Z to get rid of that. That undoes what I just did. And then I'm going to hit the escape key, and that'll stop that from happening. So it's good to have stuff like that happening when you're doing a video, because you could run into the same situation. So it kind of teaches you something along the way. Okay, so same thing here. Double click. Remember to do that this time. And this one. This is, no, it's not the last one. We still have to put a horizontal one on as well. Okay. So now I'm going to just minus out here, Control minus, because we also need a fold line going all the way across here. So we'll start here and it's red, so I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm going to double click that. Okay, so that's it for the SVG file for that top layer. That's all I need for it. Other than I'm going to go in, I'm going to call these score. And I'm hoping they will show up in Cricut Maker, but it would be nice if they actually showed up as a score line. And that's why I changed the size of the dash to 12, because I usually use 6, and I know it doesn't. It puts a line in there, and then I just change it to a score line in Cricut. But in this case, I'm hoping it might recognize it where the lines are wider. Okay, so that's the top one. So now let's do the bottom one. Now, all I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to copy it. Actually, I'm going to group all these together first. Group it as one. Control G. And we'll call that Cricut Top. Actually, I want to do that capital letter so it just stands out. Cricut Top. Okay, so now we're going to do a Control C and Control V. And I'm going to grab that, and if I hold down my shift key, it'll bring it straight down as I'm dragging it. So we'll drag it down, and there. You see the red line at the bottom? Make sure you lift your mouse key first, and then it's going to stay right where it's at. So I think that's lined up pretty good. I mean, I could always check it and just turn the opacity down, see how everything looks, and it looks pretty good to me. So this one's bottom, so I'm just going to change that, B-O-T-O-M, and since it's bottom, it should be on the bottom. So let's put it below this one. Okay. Now, the other thing, too, in order to get an SVG file, you need to change the background paper to transparent. So in this particular program, I just go into Document Setup, Colors, and Transparent Background. And we also have to do is tell Cricut where to anchor the page. It needs to know that this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet or 11 by 8.5 sheet that we're using here. So by doing that, you're just going to put a couple squares in each corner of the page. Now, I'm just going to make that. I'm going to change the size down here. So I wasn't trying to be exact there. So the width is 0.25 and the height is 0.25, so it's 1/4 of an inch. Now, the x-axis should be 0 and the y-axis should be 0. So you see that moved right there. Now, the other thing it did too is because the dash line was the last thing I used, it made it a dash line. So I need to go back in there and just change that to a line there. Okay, so let's copy that over. We need another anchor on this side. So besides Control C and V, I can also just hold the Alt key down and grab that, and that makes another copy of it. So they're already 1/4 inch. We just got to make sure we put them in the right position. So the x-axis, where this is an 11-inch wide paper, we need to put it at 10.75 because it's 1/4 inch. So we need to take 1/4 inch off, and this should be 0. So that's right where the corner of the pages are. Now, I could go ahead and put 2 more down here, but I don't really need to. It just needs to know where the top of it is, and everything will pretty well stay in place. So that's it as far as making the SVG file. There's nothing else I need to do to this. So except for I need to export it as an SVG file. So we'll go to File, Export, and make sure you have this clicked. Don't export layers hidden by export persona. So because everything's hidden under this, there's no sense sending all that memory at the same time. Although, I just want to test something here. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to turn off the layers below it. So if I turn that down, see that's missing now because I turned it off. I can turn it back on in there, and I'm going to turn it off. And this is just kind of a test I'm doing right now, I guess, as I'm doing the video. I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so I turn them off. and they're not there anyway. So I'm going to go to File, Export. Notice how much smaller that is now. I think it's smaller. I know it was 937, but I didn't pay attention to what it said here, but it has to be smaller. So files definitely smaller by turning those off. If I'm not sending them, what's the sense of sending all that memory with it too? So the SVG is clicked and hit export. Now I have this under a new folder with nothing in it. So I'm going to call this is the soap label test file, except I'm going to call it SVG test file and save. Now, while we're here, I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you how to do the outline so you know exactly where to set it up on your mat. You'll see it, you know, in my last videos where I had the painter tape down and the page was cut out of it. So all you need to do here is go to File, New, make sure it's on Print. I'm going to change this to inches, and most of our pages are 8.5 by 11, and this here particular one is landscape. Now you'll want to do two. You want to do a portrait and you'll want to do a landscape up. So I'm going to hit Create Artboard and hit Create. So there's a brand new file there. So all you need to do is fine right the way it is. You don't have to be transparent or nothing. I'm just going to hit File, Export, and export that as landscape. Well, landscape 11 by 8.5 SVG template, I guess I'll call it. Okay. So now we're going to go into Cricut Maker. Now, first of all, over here, I'm going to group these together as well, because now we don't need this anymore. We've done it. We've sent the export over. That's it. The only thing you're going to need that for is when you go to do more labels that have different names, the exact same size and cutout, except you're going to change the name on it. So I'm just going to hit Control G to group all that and call that Cricut template, I guess, SVG. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this off and turn these two on. So you'll print these off through your regular printer on an 8.5 by 11 page. And then we go into Cricut Maker and we'll hit New, Upload. Now, first I'm going to bring up the cutout template because that's really what you need first if you're doing this for the first time. Browse. Now there's the 11 by 8.5 there. So open that. You can't see anything there, but upload it. And then I'm going to choose that and hit Add to Canvas. So we need to tell it what size it is. And make sure those are locked. We're going to put 11 in that, and that should come up 8.5, 11, which it did. And just put that up in the corner. These should both say 0, which they do. And then you're just going to hit, well, first of all, you're going to take a blank mat. You're going to put painter's tape over it. I like to put the painter tape in both directions. You're going to make this and put it through the template as it's a basic cut file now, as you can see here. Put that through the Cricut Maker, and it'll cut out the 8.5 by 11 shape right where you need it to be. So and then you pull the masking tape or the painter's tape off, and there you go. You have the spot right where you know where to set your paper every time. So I'm just going to close this here, and I'm going to do an upload again. And we're going to upload the other file, SVG file. That was this one here we just did. Open. and hit upload, add to canvas. Okay, now as you can see, it didn't recognize that as score lines. It recognized those score lines all as basic cut lines, which is fine. It's, you know, we're just going to change them over. So the size is 11, we know that. Now it's not going to be 8.5 because I didn't include the other page anchors down at the bottom, which is fine. That's right where it's supposed to be. So we put that in the corner. Make sure your X and your Y are both at 0. And the only thing we need to do is change a few things in here. So these page anchors up here, to me, there's no need to cut them out. I'm just going to change them to a pen. I'm not going to put the pen in it. It's just going to pretend it's drawing a square in the corners, but it isn't going to happen because I won't have the pen in it. Okay, and then the rest of these are going to be score lines. So we just need to go up and change these to score lines. I'm curious, if I hold shift down, can I change them all to score lines? Look at that, save them all, did them all at the same time. Here all along I've been doing them individually. So there's something I learned as well today, and hopefully maybe you learned something with it. So we're going to pick all these except for the basic cut, and we're going to change them to score lines. Oh, there, see, I love saving time. Anything that can save me time, love it. Okay. So there we go. It's all set up, and you see how nicely they're grouped as well, because we group them individually in Affinity Designer. Okay, so we just need to choose that and click attached. So now they're attached, and you have to have them attached, and then you're going to click make it. There you go. So it's right where it should be. You should already have your paper cut out right where it needs to be, or your mat where the masking tape or the painter's tape is, so you know right where to put that page, and then you can continue to run it through. Now I don't have the Cricut Maker turned on right now, but I don't need to show you how to do that because I did that in my other video, so you can go have a look at that if you like. I'm just going to hit cancel there. So that's it. Just as easy as that. I'll turn that back on. And, you know, it really is quite simple. And I had a hard time finding this online, you know, to really show me how to do it. And it took a little bit of time. It took a little, you know, a few errors and so on. But now, you know, I just think a couple of times I even used a PNG because I wasn't sure with the SVG. Now I use the SVG all the time. I don't use the PNG at all. So hopefully that helped you guys out. And if you haven't seen the making soap labels on Cricut Maker saves time, I also show on that how I don't use a Cricut Maker. I use another hand machine to do my scoring and my cutting as well. So if you don't have a Cricut Maker, of course you probably wouldn't be watching this if you didn't, but there's another way to do it. And if it sometimes they mess up, you know, if they go through the Cricut Maker, so then I have that tool on hand to go ahead and, you know, maybe the top one worked and the bottom one didn't. So later on, I'm going to have a few more of them that I do. Like I have a box that I do up. Actually, it's in this one. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that, but maybe I'll show you a picture of it at the end of the video. I'll bring them up later and show you what they are exactly. Actually, here it is right here. That's my stainless steel bar soap. Now, I'm going to show you on the Cricut Maker what that looks like as well. So I'm going to hit cancel, because I think you'll find this really interesting. Go to my projects. And there's the box. So that's the box that gets printed out. That, see, it has a circle there where you can see the stainless steel soap. It has a place to hang it up. And just to go back to this, there's that. And there's that. So yeah, I think you'll find this interesting too. There's a little bit more to that. There's a little bit more intricate cutouts on it. But it's pretty cool. And there's a few more things I'm going to be making that kind of fall along that lines as well. I'm just going to cancel that. And then where's my bath tea package? Right here. That's my bath tea package. And I don't know if you guys want to hang around to see this or not, but I really, really like this one, this tea. There's that there. So that's the bath tea package. And then I have another one where I do my pillow, the pillow packaging too. So I'll be doing all of these and show you how to set them all up and learn a little bit about it. And then there's a few new ones that I want to work on as well to modify, you know, what I've been using all along. Now that I have the Cricut Maker, I got all kinds of things I can do. So, but you have to have the time to do it is the whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed this. I know I ran a little over there. Please, if you like it, hit the like button. If there's something in particular that you want to see me set up, you know, either the bath tea package or that box, tell me which one you want to see next. And don't forget to subscribe, and you have a naturally nice day.